So I'm Tom Dowling. I'm currently a research associate at King's College London, and I'm primarily an environmental scientist. So I use satellite data to examine the environment, but then also things like drones, cameras mounted on poles, aircraft, all kinds of stuff. So I started out in geography, and it all kind of tumbled from there. And I've basically just since then done things that interest me with interesting people. But in the end, I decided I liked less making money for people and more doing research. So here we are. During my master's, I was super into ballet. I danced classical ballet for 6 years. I started super late when I was 18. Really enjoyed that for a long time. Fell out of love with that. And mostly these days, I do a lot of climbing and swimming with a group of friends from the department. Being in a geography department, you do find there's a culture of outdoorsiness. But then also a big one, and this is where my nerd levels just go through the roof, is Warhammer. This is miniature toy soldier painting, which I've slowly come to accepting of myself, and I now willingly admit in public, which is not something that has happened in the past. I followed very much the classic pattern with that, which I think a lot of people do, where you do it as a teenager, realise there's such a thing as beer, and then you go away from it and you do other stuff. And then in my case, I came back to it because I injured my shoulder really badly, and basically everything that I could do in my life stopped. And then I was sitting at home and I was reading a book, and it was a Warhammer book. I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing. And then about a month later, quite a lot of money later, and a lot of glue, all of a sudden I was trapped. So. It's very much a form of meditation, actually. With painting and this sort of construction activity, it's manual with your hands, and you don't think about anything else. In my case, geography comes through again, so the science comes back in, and I'm like, well, if I'm painting an army of tree people, it's got to be biologically relevant. You know, you've got the landscape they're sitting on. I've got to have a right marshland kind of complex. And so when you find yourself sticking tufts of grass to a bit of plastic, and how deep have I fallen now? But yeah. Picked up swimming as kind of rehab for the shoulder, and now I really enjoy it. There's one good friend in particular, she was an Aussie who lives in Sweden when I was there, and basically she got bored of me moaning about being unfit and overweight, so she ran a water polo team. So she dragged me to the pool and drowned me for 3 months. I became part of the women's water polo team. They adopted me as their mascot, which I was very thankful for, because they were very welcoming, and there was no body shaming. It was all a very positive experience. Nearly every scientist I know has a hobby, and they usually turn out to be pretty damn good at it. Because I think it's the focus and diligence and application of self that actually science needs, and most of us are just doing it by just keeping going. And if hobbies help you keep going, I think that's really a powerful part of them, and also just good for one's mental health, which is often the most challenging thing when doing this sort of work. So.